Hello and welcome to the Trinity Music Podcast. On today's episode, we have Mr. Christie. How are you doing, Mr. Christie?
I'm doing not too bad. How are you doing?
Good, yeah, I'm fine. I'm saying it's a pleasure to finally have a colleague on the
podcast.
podcast.
Member
now
on.
everybody's like, when you getting a teacher on, and we've delivered.
Well, here we have it.
Yeah, so Mr. Christie, obviously Luke Christie is your name, but in this department you're not known by your first name.
Yeah.
You are far more important than that. So, Mr. Christie, care to explain where that name came from?
Well, it was originally Mr. Maverick, just going to go and clean that up for me, like the glockenspiels. And then it's grown arms and legs from S2, and now here we are. We've got, I've got like a staff member role in the department.
You do, yeah. You're pretty much, you've got your own office space.
Oh, yeah.
Through it in the music hub room.
It's lovely, it's been all decorated in that.
Yeah, we've decorated the room for you. You've got your own Face ID on the door to get in.
Yeah.
It must irritate you when people use that without your permission as well.
Oh, I know. It's honestly, it's horrible because it's like it's your home that's just been all...
Yeah. Exactly, it's a nightmare. And the people just come in there and practice their instruments without your permission. It's terrible. But yeah, obviously it is Luke Christie, but we know you as Mr. Christie. So yeah, just to summarise, Mr. Christie is a role in the department that is named after you and your iconic position in the department. So yeah, so the name came about from when you get asked to tidy up the glockenspiels.
Got told to tidy up the glockenspiels.
And in the department, every class has like jobs, like a folder guy, keyboard straightener or whatever, and the role for putting the glockenspiels away in Mr. Merritt's class is called the Mr. Christie role. So that is like an offspring of generations called other fellow Mr. Christies in the school. And there must be, I don't know how many people there will be who are called Mr. Christie in this school, but it must be at least about 15 or 20 of them.
Because I remember last year, when it was coming near the end of the year, like last year's S6, I just remember walking out the school and then, "Are you Mr. Christie?" "Oh, yeah, I'm Mr. Christie."
Yeah, fame at last. What would be really good is if we could get like a family photo of all the Mr. Christies, and we could get that like put on canvas in your office.
So when people go in, it will say like Mr. Christie of like 22, 23.
Yeah, and it's so funny that every first year class, it's mainly a Mr. Merritt's class, because I just call it the glockenspiel person.
But you're going to have to get that changed.
Yeah, because for a while, there was a misconception as to what I thought the Mr. Christie role involved. I thought it was like being the site manager of the department, because that's essentially what you are in this department. I thought it was like the proper overseer, but it is just putting the glockenspiels away.
Yeah, really, that's what it is.
So, there's all these different Mr. Christies dotted about in this school, and people are known as Mr. Christie. And if we could get them all together and get a family photo before you leave, that would be amazing.
Oh, that'd be brilliant.
Yeah. So obviously, working hard in music, doing well. You've also got a job, don't you? You're the most famous McDonald's employee I think I've ever heard of.
I'm the most famous McDonald's employee there is.
Yeah. So you work at McDonald's in Braehead.
It's Tuesday. Sometimes if I take my bass in and I come to collect at the end of the day, I walk in the class. Is it alright if I go and grab my bass? Oh yeah, no worries. Like, you serve me McDonald's.
And there's quite a few of you that work from this school that work in the same place.
To be fair, I think it is just the majority of this school. You've got like one or two or three Renfrew High pupils, but apart from that, it's just all
You're
Trinity.
carrying Braehead McDonald's. Yeah, but anyway, an iconic person in this school who's coming towards the end of their school career, which is really sad, to be honest. But we thought we'd better get you on to talk through your favourite songs of all time. Now, I know for someone like you, this is really hard, because for you, music's obviously a massive passion. Yeah. But you've managed to whittle it down to three of your kind of favourite songs.
Currently, I'd probably
currently
say.
Favourite songs. And I know, like, for particularly one of the bands you're talking about, you could probably choose, like, loads of their songs as being favourites. But what are you going to go to for first of all for today?
I'm going to do Nothing Else Matters by Metallica, because, I mean, that song's just... it's wonderfully played in so many ways. And then I'll probably do Through These Iron Sights by the Rumjacks, because the historical value of it as well. Yeah. And then with another one with historical, I'd probably do The Black Matilda by the Rumjacks.
Good. So we'll get on to the Rumjacks songs later on, and then we'll start by talking about the Metallica one. But a great mix of songs there, and something for everybody to go and check out. So the song Nothing Else Matters by Metallica, great track. You've got some stats about it written down. Do you remember the first time you heard that song, though, or how that came into being one of your favourites?
It would have probably have been when me and my dad have been in the car, because that's where probably I've listened to most of the songs that I know because of him, is just in the car. Probably going to go and pick the Chinese up for dinner or something like that, just put on some tunes.
Yeah, that's funny. That's how Robbie's music came from Dad in the car as well, and he's got a similar sort of interest in similar type of music to you? That's bad how it's so much it comes from dad in car going somewhere.
Well, it's because if my mum was in the car, it would be Clyde 1 on.
Yeah.
Or in the house, it would be turn that off. So you've got kind of...
So you and your dad have got the... I bet he's like, do you ever go out in the car and you don't actually need to go anywhere? And he's just like, when you're younger, we'll just go out for a drive, son. Just to listen to some music and get away.
Or when like you're reversing onto the drive, but the song you've been wanting to listen to has been on, it's finally came on, and you're just sitting on the... I was just wondering why you're just sitting in the car on the drive listening to the tune.
That's so relatable, by the way. That is so relatable. Like when you get... You know, when you're pulling up towards your house and it just moves on to the song and you're
drive dead slowly.
Yeah, and it's like, I'm just going to sit for 4 minutes, just sit and contemplating life until the guitar solo fades out.
And then if it's a song like Nothing Else Matters or something like that, it's like on for ages, so you're just kind of sitting there most of the night, just sitting in the car listening to the one song.
Yeah, what a tune. Well, that leads us on sort of seamlessly into this. So this is like a kind of classic rock ballad. One of those songs that lasts for about 6-7 minutes, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
But I imagine when they play it live, do they extend it right out, or how do they do it when they do it live?
Well, when they do it live, the way I can remember it is it's like, you know, they really drag on the solos and all that. Like, but they do it in a way like this song, I'd say in a rock song, the way where to put it is a classy rock song. It's not like something that they would just go and like start doing like shredding on the guitar and all that. It's worked down to a fine art, I reckon, this song. Yeah,
it's very it's more like a beautiful rock song rather than a thrash. So Metallica, quite a famous sort of thrash metal band, and they're quite known for, when they're early days, quite aggressive, shredding on the guitar, shredding on the bass, everything's 100 miles an hour. But then this one is more of a kind of peaceful ballad, and it's like, it's not a mosh pit song, it's more just of a gentle, appreciation to it. And what a band anyway, Metallica. They've had I think they've had about 10 albums out or something like that.
Oh yeah, they're really successful.
Yeah, and they've got an 11th album coming out this year actually.
Yeah, I've seen some of the stuff, the Lux Eterna and all.
Are they have they released that like singles from the album already?
Yeah, they're doing like it's two of the, I can't remember the name of the second song, but the first one's like Lux Eterna or something across those lines, and it's quite good. One of the solos that they do in it reminds you of old Metallica. Yeah,
what, they're kind of going back to the roots sort of thing.
It seems like it's like modern, like for modern audience, but it's like the roots of Metallica, the way I describe it.
Because I think they started out, like say, we started out with really aggressive type of music. The album that this was on, the album, self-titled album called Metallica, the fifth one, that was like a bit more kind of moving direction. Then I think they experimented with it. Now they're kind of going back more to what they had. They've almost done like a full circle sort of thing. But yeah, do you remember? So the first time you heard this one was in, like, probably in your dad's car.
Probably in the car.
You sort of, was he just, what sort of age would you have been at that point then?
Oh, this is ages ago. I must have been, probably when I was listening to Metallica, it was in primary school, 100%.
Primary school?
Probably I started listening to, because I've always been into like different music, so I've probably very early in primary school.
Yeah, and did he have like CDs in the car rather than
like the folder of the CDs, you can go and pick out the
yeah, I know all the different ones, and you open it. So did you just put it on the random mix of, was it like a greatest hits or was it a specific album? Do you remember?
Well, I don't know about this one, but I know he just had like albums and probably greatest hits as well. The one that was always on was the Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, Well, there's a Led Zeppelin song, Stairway to Heaven, the Led Zeppelin song, really famous, but that reminded me a wee bit of this song when I was listening to it. There's similar sort of build-up in the way that the guitar, it's like a guitar for a minute, playing nice wee arpeggios, and then the drums kick in and it builds and builds and builds.
I certainly think, even though like there's technically different genres, I think it's really cool because you can definitely see where bands like this copy off bands like Led Zeppelin, Rainbow. You can see where a lot of this comes into
the
their music.
Yeah, and this song we're talking about, Nothing Else Matters, came out in 1992. It was the first kind of non-thrash metal song, and because of that, it's quite mainstream in that it featured in the charts and all that sort of thing, and then it boosted Metallica more up to a more commercial audience. And then due to the release of this song, they're then able to play stadiums and all that sort of thing because they're appealing to a wider market of folk, not just folk that are like, really into metal music.
Yeah.
You've seen Metallica live, haven't you?
Yeah, I've seen Metallica live at the Etihad Stadium.
Down in Manchester. When was that? Was that quite recently?
No, it wasn't recently. It was a few years ago. I'd probably say I was in, it must have been like P7 going into high school. That's a rough guesstimate of when I was going to go and see them.
Did you go with your dad again down to the gig? Or?
Yeah, I went down with my dad and my friend Ben and his dad because they all like the same music.
Yeah. Oh, nice. And I take it was really like thousands of people there if they're playing a stadium, like 50,000 people.
It's actually jumping when you see them. You never thought like they'd fill up a stadium like that, but it's,
and imagine when you're like 11 years old, taking in that sort of thing must be mad. Was that your first concert, the first proper concert? Have you been to quite a few?
Because my dad can get them through like tickets for troops because he's in the Royal Navy.
Yeah, so he gets access to concerts and stuff like that.
If there's any like leftover tickets in that, sometimes they can say like bands say, that you can put them on here and that.
Yeah, and that gives you an access to stuff you might not otherwise get to go and see.
Yeah, why do you think I'm joining the Royal Navy?
Did you write that on your application form? Like my main reason is so that I can go and see some more gigs, so I don't need to sit in Ticketmaster forever.
Yeah,
that makes sense. So I was doing a wee bit of googling about this song, right? So this song originally, it was written by James, is it Hetfield you pronounce his name? So he's the front man of the band, right? And he actually plays the guitar solo in this song, but he doesn't normally play the solos. It's usually the other guitarist, who's like more of a kind of shredder player, like traditional sort of like metal guitarist, whereas this guy is more of a rhythm guitarist, so you can sort of hear in the solo how it's more melodic and more like gentle as opposed to a proper Guitar Hero headbanging type thing.
And to start off, I think that's really quite weird as well because the front man's usually the lead.
Yeah.
Or even if you notice like bands like my favourite band of all time, Green Day.
Yeah.
When you look at Billy Joe playing like songs, he's always, even though he's like sometimes stops to sing along with fans and that. Yeah. He's always the one that does all the solos, like anything to do with man. Yeah. And the rhythm guitar is usually the one that does everything, like plays the song.
Yeah, and like is the kind of backbone behind it. Yeah, it's an interesting point, that one. And he actually originally was not going to release that as a song to Metallica, so he wrote it. I think it was about his girlfriend at the time, and it was more just they were on tour and he was just writing songs and just probably to pass time on tour, and then he kept it to himself for a while and was sort of humming and hawing about whether or not to actually release it. So he showed it to Lars, the drummer, the drummer from Metallica, and then I think Lars was like, "This is so good, we need to release this," and then he sort of eventually bowed down to, "All right, okay, we'll play it," and then jammed the song out, recorded it, and suddenly it's became a song that's now had over 1 billion views on YouTube, and is like sold almost more singles than almost any other kind of metal song, by a metal band, if that makes sense. And Metallica just has so much success that we've talked about. This is some interesting statistics, right? So Master of Puppets is quite a famous Metallica album.
Oh, very. Yeah. That's very Metallica,
That's song quite heavy, isn't it? That's more of I think it's one of the sort of heaviest ever albums to have mainstream success.
Oh, 100%.
What are some of the tracks on that one? Do you know? I know is Master of Puppets a song in its own right? Is there a song called and then
I think it might have been released as a single, but I know it's appeared on albums. I don't know if that's one of the songs that's appeared on, like it's appeared a few ways. Yeah. Because I think and they've got that song One, which is really heavy as well. Mm-hmm. Well, most of 99% of their songs are.
That's an ultimate guitar classic, that one, yeah.
That's what makes Nothing Else Matters stands out.
Yeah, it's like, it's a way of sort of imagining it is it's like an artist having exclusively one type of, it's not one type of music, but to most people it sounds similar. But then they've got this one standout track that you've picked that's just so different.
It's like Good Riddance by Green Day.
Yeah.
Like not everybody's going to I know Green Day from like all the songs that they played, like their older albums.
Yeah, the one that was in the higher Freelam, the Boulevard. Was it? What was it? Wake Me Up When September Ends.
Yeah, and then I mind last year, was it the real SQA exam?
Yeah, you're right.
The Basket Case.
Basket Case, yeah. Or was it Basket Case, or was it not? Wasn't American Idiot, was it?
No.
It could have been Basket. There was a Green Day song in the Nat 5 one as well.
It was really funny because you're in the
exam mindset, concentrating.
You're in the exam, and then you don't want to draw too much attention to yourself by the invigilators and that, but you're also just wanting to I was trying not to laugh at this song going on. I'm doing my exam. Mm-hmm.
There's something about the nervous energy in the room in a music exam because you do not have a clue what type of music is coming out, and you're just sitting like going, what could this be? What could this be? And then when it's a song that you recognise, that's a pop song, it's like, oh wow, that's amazing. Like last year in the Nat 5 exam, the George Ezra song came on as well. And imagine you probably don't like George Ezra very much.
I can't say I'm a big fan of him.
But I was sitting and looking around the room, and that song, it was like, what's it called again? I'm trying to think. Shotgun by George Ezra.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody's dead concentrating, like going, oh, like what's this answer going to be? And then waiting on the music to drop, and the music kicks in, and it's like a George Ezra song. I'm looking at the invigilators, and they're all sitting, nodding their heads, tapping the toes, you know.
And then I think that helped with the higher prelim as well, because there's a few things that from being able to like play the song.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's quite good. That.
I recognise that chord, I've played that on my bass, yeah. Before we move on to your next band, a few more interesting facts about Metallica. So they have won 9 Grammy Awards, which is mad. The Grammy Awards are obviously like really highly
Very
sought
hard
after,
to get.
and they've got 9 of them. All of their albums since that album Metallica that this track's on have all debuted at number 1 in the American charts, which is mad. Like, that's an insane stat. They've sold over 125 million albums as of 2018. So this is now 5 years after that. They've sold probably a lot more. Like, to put that into context, 125 million. Like, the population of Scotland, for example, do you know what that is?
I can't say.
I think it's only about 6 million or something like that.
Oh, the fact that they've
they've
done
sold
that.
like 125 million albums, so that's like so many times the population of Scotland. This is just ridiculous. And they were, Rolling Stone magazine, I was talking to Mirren about this, that rank all the greatest artists, greatest albums, greatest guitarists. They were ranked number 61 in the 100 greatest artists of all time.
Yeah, imagine I've appeared on the greatest bass player of all time on that.
Behind Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers at number 2, and with Mr. Christie at number 1. Playing Blue Monk for his National 5.
And Do a Deer, don't forget that one.
And Do a Deer as well. What a song. Favourite song ever. But apart from Can You Feel Love Tonight.
Oh, that's a good follow-up.
Yes, so this is just a wee quiz for you, right? Would you like to guess, I'm going to cover this with my pencil, so Metallica at number 61, who do you think are the top 3 artists ranked by Rolling Stone as the greatest of all time? Not your favourite, but Rolling Stone's greatest.
Well, obviously, first of all, me and my band. But that's like, if they put us into the equation, we'd be first so many times. So I'm just going to say that we are not in it.
I love your dry sense of humour so much. It's just like, oh, it's so funny.
It's just really like bum myself up all the time.
Yeah, but you do it in such an endearing way that it's so funny. Anyway, sorry. So, with the exception of the Luke Christie experience, what are you putting as your top 3 bands of all time?
Well,
of what Rolling Stone put as their top 3?
I would have to say that probably bands like Rainbow have been up there.
They don't get a mention in the top. This is top 3, top 3. I think they'd probably be in the top 100. Think the most famous bands and artists ever.
Is it all this type of music, or is
it's
it?
not. It's like any type of music. Well, I'll give you a clue. One of them is a British band. The other 2 are American.
Oh, so the Beatles.
The Beatles, yeah. The Beatles come at number 1, obviously, because they're at the top of every single chart.
Yeah, to be fair.
The other 2, so Beatles come at number 1. Well done.
Queen.
Good guess, but not quite. I think that was in the top 10. Now 2, they're American solo artists for number 2 and number 3. One of them, a movie was made about them last year with that Austin Butler guy who was at the BAFTAs last night, or the other night.
Oh, what's his
also
face?
starring Tom Hanks.
I know what movie. I think I know what movie.
Really
you're on
famous. About. Songs like Blue Suede Shoes.
I know who it
Hound
is
Dog.
as well. I know exactly who it is, but...
Do you want me just to put you out your misery?
Oh, what's
people at home watching this going, come on, Mr. Christie.
I know his name, but...
It is Elvis.
That's the one. That's what I was thinking.
So Elvis was number 3.
Because there's someone that I know who absolutely loves Elvis, and
right.
so I knew exactly because he was so buzzing about that movie coming out.
It's a good movie. One to go and watch. It's brilliant. And then at number 2 was Bob Dylan. You heard of Bob Dylan before?
Yeah.
He get ranked 2nd greatest artist of all time. But Metallica, even be in the top 100 is crazy.
It's pretty mental to get in that point.
So song number 1, Nothing Else Matters by Metallica, and we'll move on to the next one. So I know you've sort of said Green Day are your favourite band of all time. Is that like, see the Rumjacks, are they up there with Green Day for you?
I would probably have to say they're many bands, but they're probably making it to like in the second spot.
Yeah. As good as that, right up there with in the Mr. Christie catalogue of music collection. So the Rumjacks, most people probably haven't heard of, I'd imagine, for people that are watching this.
Probably, I'll probably quite happily say everybody.
Yeah, I had never heard of them at all. So you've picked the other 2 songs you picked, they're both by this band. So how did you get into the Rumjacks then?
Well, it was a really time that everybody will think was quite mental during COVID. Mm-hmm. And I remember doing some of the music work that I'm not going to tell Mr. Merrick that I was doing this late at night for it to be submitted tomorrow. He doesn't need to know this. So I was sitting listening to the excerpts that we got
sent out like through like Show My Homework.
Yeah. And then one of them was Celtic rock, and Celtic rock itself didn't quite tickle my fancy. So I thought for a laugh I'd type up Celtic punk because as you know I quite like some of the punk rock
music.
scene.
Yeah.
And to my surprise, there was a You know it's good when it's a made by Spotify playlist.
Yeah.
A made by Spotify playlist called Celtic Punk.
Celtic Punk. And the was the Rumjacks one of the bands on this?
They were like, you know what Spotify does? Like it's like must be like the band of the month on that playlist. And it does it there the cover. Well, at that time it was the Rumjacks.
The Rumjacks.
And their top song was "Scented Millions" by the Rumjacks.
Yeah, and then did you just think I'm gonna have you listen to this and see?
Yeah, so I was listening to all of the songs, and I like most of the bands that are in like feature in those playlists now. But my favourite one out of them has to be the Rumjacks.
Yeah, and have you seen these guys live before?
Yeah, I've seen them twice.
Yeah, where did you see them?
Well, the first time I seen them when they were playing in that venue, Slay in Glasgow.
Okay, yeah.
It was meant
Is that quite a small venue?
It's a really small venue. It's like underground. So like you go into like at the door and you take the stairs down.
Is it near Central Station? Or am I maybe thinking of somewhere else?
I think it's not too far away from there anyway.
So it's like you go downstairs to get to it.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
You go in, like you show your tickets there, and then like they'll stamp you and you can go down.
And was their gig really good?
It was amazing. I have to say, it's really cool getting to see the band in such a small place.
Yeah.
Because there's a few bands that were playing, and my dad was speaking to one of the what band was it? It was the Shanghai Treason.
Okay.
Him and the lead singer were just my dad, my dad,
having
and the lead singer were both talking about how they both come from Doncaster and stuff
really?
like that. It was like Yorkshire, Doncaster. I can't. They're both just sitting having a wee conversation while our bands are playing.
I love that about the small gigs, and that the band will always come and speak to you after the show, and like they'll come out and say like thanks for coming, and you'll probably end up speaking to them, and then if you see a band before they're big, you can always say, oh, like I saw that band before they were mainstream. And think about the number of people that are like, I saw Metallica before they played, like when they played to 2 people. Yeah. And if you see them there, that's far more special than seeing them to 70,000 people. Do you know what I mean?
It's really quite cool because, well, from I'll just say what I seen in the second one. I seen them in the Hydro. They were playing
the Hydro.
They were a backup playing.
A support band.
A support band. That's the one.
Who were they supporting?
The Dropkick Murphys.
Yeah. Are they a similar kind of Celtic? A Celtic
like
punk band.
They're like probably the leaders. There's a really big one is Flogging Molly.
Heard of them.
And they're probably on par. Like Dropkick Murphys are probably on par with them.
And the Rumjacks were supporting them at that gig.
Yeah, and I don't know if you've heard of them. You know the band Pennywise?
No, I don't actually.
Oh, they're
know.
really like...
the name maybe rings a bell, but I don't know
It's
them.
like they're modern classic punk.
Yeah.
So like it's exactly they're basically just classic punk, but they're instead of like being like the Pistols that are playing it, it's them type of thing.
Right, okay. So they were good at the Hydro, though, really nice sounds.
Yeah.
Did they get a good reception as well?
They did, yeah. A lot of people were going there with their Rumjacks t-shirts on.
Yeah.
And that. Well, I went there. Obviously, I got a Dropkick Murphys t-shirt. I was there, but I was going there with my Rumjacks
really for the
t-shirt
Rumjacks,
on.
yeah. Have they got quite a big following, like in the underground? Not the underground scene, but like is there quite a big fan base of like kind of hardcore fans, or are they still quite unknown relatively?
Well, I think they have got. Well, the Rumjacks went through like a phase where it was like they've had a new singer. And to be fair, when I first heard they were getting a new singer, I was kind of like, oh no, I don't know how this is going to go.
Yeah.
Mike's totally amazing doing it. And so I would say I like equally them both. And they got really quite big with the last singer, Frankie. They were doing like Woodstock.
Playing big venues.
They were playing like quite big places in like Athens, Greece. And it was quite...
Yeah, and they were making a lot of, gaining a lot of following.
But then I think, obviously, if I knew the lead singer, it's kind of like rebranding.
Because obviously, rebranding it, Can't recreate the sound.
He's really good at singing Frankie's songs, Mike, but it's one of those things where it's not Frankie singing those songs.
Nothing can replicate the sound of the original singer.
He's not going to want to sing someone else's songs. He's going to want to sing the ones that he
put his own
wrote.
style on it. Yeah. It's almost like building again up from scratch a wee bit. Like when... I suppose like Queen, for example, they replaced Freddie Mercury with like Adam Lambert, and it's just, although he's an amazing singer, it doesn't sound the same when you sing Freddie's songs. So they need to make the new material like you guys, the Rumjacks, have done.
That's what he said. He said he's not going to try and put on a Glaswegian accent and be Frankie. He says he's going to do it in his own style, but who also wants to work on his songs as well.
Yeah. The origins of the Rumjacks are really interesting. So they're formed in Sydney in Australia, aren't they, in 2008? But then have they sort of like, are they made up of people from loads of different countries?
Now it's like there's the drummer. I've got 2 photos of the drummer. The drummer's a really cool guy.
Yeah. Did you meet him after a gig?
Well, I met him This is funny because you know, like in the hydro, in the green room in the hydro, obviously they get like service and all that.
Yeah.
He couldn't be bothered waiting for food and he was starving. So I seen him when I was lining up to get drinks from my dad.
Just lining up at the queue for the food.
I just seen him. He was like doing what everyone else tried to try to see what's on the.
Just looking at the menu. See the price of those drinks, man.
I was looking around like. And I was thinking, I'm going to look like a fool if I'm trying to ask him if this is who he is.
Did you know who it was immediately? Or was it one of those things where he's like, that guy looks a wee bit like him? But no, it wouldn't be him.
It can't be him. He'll be back there.
He'll be backstage.
And then you seen like the kind of...
The access all areas?
The all areas pass. I was like, that's
him. So did you just say, like, excuse me, can I, like, I know who you are sort of thing, or how did it work?
I think I started probably saying, like, who's probably... Right, mate.
Yeah, just trying to act cool.
Like, don't show yourself up here.
Yeah, doing that voice that people always try and do when they're trying to look confident, but really they're not.
And I think when I was there, to be fair, I think it's really cool because they're all down to earth guys.
Are they quite like normal people? I suppose because they're not mega famous, I reckon they could go about their day-to-day lives without anybody really knowing who they are.
It's pretty cool because they hang around Milan, Italy. That's where the drummer's from. Mm-hmm. And they go down to, obviously, the most famous song is called An Irish Pub Song.
Yeah,
they do go
that kind of went viral, didn't it, when it came out? Yeah,
they done it for a laugh on St. Patrick's Day, and then that kind of, it put them it was in the charts, essentially.
Yeah.
So, but they go down to, like, they're one of the bands that are still, like, big enough where they can go and enjoy themselves, but they're also got fans, so they go and play, like, proper, like, Irish pub music in Irish pubs, and it's quite cool. It'd be cool to see that.
Yeah, that must be a lovely level of success when you get to where you're like, you're making a career as a musician, going well, but you can still live normally and you still go to the pub, you can still do your shopping without anybody bothering you.
I think that's the way most musicians want to be.
Yeah, famous, but not to the point where you're
making a stable career from it, but you can still have a normal life.
Exactly. So, see these two songs. Have you just kind of picked a couple of songs? Is there any particular reason why you've chosen those ones, or are they just like two of the ones you just happen to enjoy at the time? But if you went to listen to them again tomorrow, would you probably pick some other songs, or is there anything special about the Black Matilda and Through These Iron Sights?
Well, I picked them because I think they're an interesting topic.
Yeah. So, what do they? Are they both quite similar songs in terms of the content of them, or?
Not at all.
We'll do song one. So we'll do Black Matilda first. So what does that discuss? What do you like about that one?
What I think it's really cool is you know Inverary Jail. Mm-hmm. That was one of the places where they shipped people to Australia. Yeah. And the Black Matilda is about a boat called So I don't quite clearly know because there's two prison ships that I googled so they talk about the Andalusia. Okay. I think that's a prison ship, and they talk about a ship called the Black Matilda. Yeah. So I don't know what one is the one they're discussing, unless it's multiple ships. But there was this ship, I'm going to just say the Andalusia, right? Yeah. That was picking up prisoners from Inverary Jail, but it was on its route to go to Australia, I'm assuming, it just randomly started sinking. Right, so I think it's one of those ones where it's like, what's the one that's like, you know, like kind of like Bermuda Triangle tale? I think it's kind of like one of them, but they don't know what happened if like the prisoners overruled the boat or like it's interesting. And it's telling, because I was thinking about it, that in Inverary Jail a lot of it was back in the old days where people couldn't afford anything. So you don't know whether that's people stealing to feed their family, or obviously there might be genuinely bad people, but you don't know whether it's like a lot of those people were just people trying to provide for their family. And it's back in that time in Britain. Does
the song discuss all that through the lyrics of it as well?
It's really quite, because it tells
cool
you
how
about,
they put that to music.
Because I don't know if it was making a stop near Spain, and it says like, I can't remember the exact place, but it's like it's a place in Spain, and it's going near a shore near Spain, so it's like it tells you the kind of journey of the ship. Wow. And it says 300 souls below the deck of the Andalusia, so I'm assuming that's it when it's starting to, everybody's trapped and it's sinking.
Yeah, it's so cool how the song can discuss all that, you know. And the thing, I've only really briefly listened to them in the last few weeks or so, but like I like the fact that they've got stuff like that. It's so clever to like make a song about something so significant, you know. And the thing I really like about them is in the next song is like that contrast from the happy folk music into then the real punky aggressive stuff. And it's so cool that a band can do. There's almost like a fusion genre thing. There's not many artists I can think of that are like that.
What I really find cool is I watch a lot of... So, just for reference, the Black Matilda is the old lead singer Frankie, who's no longer with the band.
Is that song that he sings?
That's the song.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Mike sings it as well.
But he was the original. He's like on the recording.
Writer,
yeah.
And the one that you're talking about, Through the Iron Sights, that's Mike that wrote that one.
Yeah.
But he's really cool because on his YouTube channel, it might be worth, like, you might find something interesting. It's like Mike Reeves, I think that's how you say his second name. But it's actually, he'll take old poems and he'll make them into music because he's got like this really old. He's got this old book that's run in his family, and it's like a guest book. So like people like that came over to like this is really years and years old. They said like he came over to their house, like whoever owned it back then, and they'd sign it and put stuff in it and all that. So some of it was like a poem that I think one of the people wrote in it. And then he's turned that into obviously it's not like released a song.
But he uses that as his material to work.
He's done like banjo, accordion, guitar. It's quite cool.
It's really cool. Really clever music, and I like the fact that the lyrics they put so much effort into the lyrics, but also so much effort into the music side of things. Because sometimes you get these bands that have great lyrics, but the songs are a wee bit rubbish.
The songs are the lacking side.
Yeah, or you get another band like Kasabian, for example. Who, the music sounds quite good to me, but then the lyrics often just seem like you've only thought that in 2 minutes. You've not put any effort into making it. The actual words sound nice,
like
you
if
know?
it just repeats itself.
Yeah,
over
exactly.
And over.
Yeah, some of these songs that have got the same chorus, like or the same 5 words just repeated round and round, you know.
Because it's like a lot of songs can be like verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus.
Yeah.
But the cool thing is, obviously, it does come back to like the chorus, but it does it in a way where it's kind of continuing on. It's like a story essentially.
Yeah, I love that when you can listen to a song and go, "You've taken me as a listener from this point. I've now." Basically listened to a whole story. Now I'm leaving this feeling more educated about the world. You know, really clever, really clever. Conscious of the time here, I keep checking this thing to make sure that it's still recording because I always get the fear for this that we've been talking for half an hour and then suddenly it's not picked up anything. So so song 2 and 3 are the Black Matilda, is song number 2, and then Through These Iron Skies, song number 3. They're both by the Rumjacks. A really cool band to go and listen to.
Yeah.
And out of the Scottish music, we'll link back to what you're doing in school. The Scottish music topic, usually people moan that the music in that topic is quite bad, which to be fair is true, but there is the Celtic rock stuff is quite cool, and that's kind of a little bit of a insight into what this is like, but it's done with more of a punky rock feel to it as well.
It's more, it's like in a way like I'd say the way punk music, I'd say it's more dirty than, like I'm talking about the music, like it's more dirty than rock music.
Yeah, it's more gritty and aggressive. What I really like about punk music, and Miriam was saying this as well in her episode, like it's often done by people that actually don't have much skill on the instruments, but they use music to channel their voice. So if they're angry at the world, if they've got a political point to make, they use punk music as a tool to like share that with the world.
Yeah, the band, like the Pistols are famous for that.
Yeah, for being so like using it to, as a constructive way of arguing about something basically, and it is really cool. And before we finish up, 2 questions I've got to ask you, Luke. Right, first of all, have you got any kind of musical ambitions for the future? I know you've kind of obviously got really into the bass in recent years. Have you got a plan for?
Currently, I'm in a band and we're trying to like make music and then build up a fan base and whatnot.
Is that through Erskine Arts?
Erskine Arts, yeah.
What does Erskine Arts involve, or what do they do?
They've got 2 sites. They've got the Erskine, well, it used to be called the Erskine Music Media Studio. I don't know if their business is still called that. But Erskine Arts is like, it's where you can go from like beginner to then they'll like help you progress and all that, and you can go move up classes. And the cool thing is they do it for adults, and they do like a free class for pensioners and stuff like that as well, so they can learn how to play piano, guitar.
So is it like a kind of enterprise project sort of thing?
Yeah, that's what it is. And then I'm in something called the advanced class, and that's where the people that are in my band were, like that's where we started really. Yeah. Because we're not learning how to play our instrument as such. We're learning how to be a musician. Yeah. I know that sounds really stupid, but
no, it's a big.
Being able to play something and being a musician is 2 different things.
Yeah, and working and collaborating and writing songs together and all that sort of thing. Yeah. So have you played any gigs with your band yet? Or are you still working on getting the material together?
We played. Well, they done a gig in December, which was like them showing off. It's like it's like the end of year
like a showcase of what you've been working on.
It's like a Christmas night. They done like raffles and stuff like that. But they got us to play to gain experience, and they're talking about now us playing gigs.
Oh, cool. And it's so going around the local area, you know, playing here and here, and then try to build up a wee bit
and
of
the
a
cool
following.
thing is they are making a venue in the place that they are.
Oh,
so
I
now
think
they've
you've
built
told
a
me about that,
stage,
yeah.
and it's quite cool.
So you could play an actual gig in the place you go for the lessons.
So
and
they've built up a stage now
That's
as well,
so cool.
so it'll be quite cool.
And I know that you've got involvement with doing the kind of sound and production element of
Yeah, I used
that
to
as well.
be part of the crew.
Doing like setting up PA and stuff like that, and running the sound desk for
Yeah,
live events.
That was quite cool when I used to do that.
Yeah, well, obviously in this school they have the tech club as well. So next year we're going to be doing. Oh, you'll be away, won't you? Because you're leaving school. Anyway, scratch that. So we could get you involved doing some of that sort of stuff, because a lot of the current 6th years that are in the tech club, they're all leaving as well. So we need to replace all the people with.
I'll go and run a crash course.
We might need you to do a 3-week crash course on how to set up how to be Mr. Christie, basically. Right, last thing before we finish off. Obviously, you're coming to the end of your time at school. I know you're in 5th year, but you're leaving, aren't you, to go and join the Navy, hopefully. So have you got any advice to any younger pupils starting in 1st year after August to enjoy their time at school and make the most of it?
Well, the first thing I would say is just keep your head down with work in that, because you will get to the point where you're thinking, I wish I could remember how to do some of that. And so it does help later on, because I didn't realise that there's so many stuff now that you learn during like 1st year that you have to remember now in 5th year, and you're like, oh no.
That's really good advice.
And it's quite hard when you've got to learn it all again, but it's just have fun as well.
I think that is the secret to school, is getting the balance right. So have fun with your friends, enjoy all the social side of school, but just if your head down's in the class.
During class, just like switch on, and then and you got break and lunch, just to faff about and do.
Yeah, and just be a teenager. I think that's the key. That is the key to success. And like you said, like everything you do in hires and Nat 5s is built on previous stuff. So from the minute you come into school in 1st year, it is important you get your head down.
Because I thought it was just a case of, you're not getting exams till 4th year. I don't even remember
loads of people think that. Yeah.
Then you realise that, oh no man, I should have
listened. And then still go and have fun at lunch, go and have fun at the weekend, but just knuckle down Monday to Friday from 8:50 till 3:40. You know.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll wrap things up there, and I'll let you go. If you get a shift at McDonald's tonight, no.
I haven't.
You haven't.
Not
when
right
you're
now,
back on at the weekend.
I mean, everybody's going to know this anyway. Sunday, I think it's 11 to 6:30. Do you want to come meet me at McDonald's?
Sign a few autographs.
I'll do a few autographs there, but that's only I'll be allowed to. So I'll just maybe like look in your direction.
Yeah, and then I mean that's a privilege in itself. Thanks very much for your time, Mr. Christie.
Thank you.